So I profusely thank the organizers and Dr. Vijay sir for giving this opportunity. So the second session is going to be an interesting session covering connective tissue disorders, arthritis, and also cough, approach to cough. So we invite the first speaker for today's second session, clinical approach to arthritis, the physician's perspective, Dr. Anita Pandey.
A blessed good morning, dear doctors. At this outset, I thank the organizing committee for giving this opportunity. So here my topic is, and thanks to the chairperson for the kind introduction. So I'm going to talk about the clinical approach to arthritis, the physician's perspective. So here is based on the Harrison principle, how to approach the arthritis, and the core objective of my presentation is narrow the differentials through the systemic history and the physical examination. So I want each and every physician, so when you encounter a case of the arthritis in your clinic or in your OPD setup, so try to answer this 4 critical questions. First, is it articular or non-articular? And it is inflammatory or non-inflammatory? And it is acute or chronic? And is a pattern of the involvement. So first is the articular. Name implies the pathology origins in the joint itself, whereas non-articular is the supporting tissue like tendon, bursa and muscle. And third is the inflammatory and non-inflammatory. Inflammatory is associated with the redness, warmth and swelling. And when there is non-inflammatory, most of the time it is mechanical pain. And acute is less than 6 weeks and more than 6 weeks. And pattern of involvement, whether it is a monoarticular, polyarticular, or it is symmetrical or asymmetrical. When able to answer these 4 critical questions, almost your work has been done 95% of your diagnosis. So now I am going to brief about each and everything. So someone may ask, how I should know it is the articular or non-articular? You need to answer these 3 questions. The pain location, range of motion, and swelling. In case of the articular, the pain may be in the deep and diffuse pattern in the origin from the joint, and the range of motion, there is a limitation in both the active and passive movements, and swelling that may be associated with the synovitis. Whereas in the non-articular, the pain may be in the localized, the patient can be able to point the tenderness and limitation of the motion. So it will be limited in only active, and then the focal bursitis will be present. So next move on to the next one, the inflammatory and non-inflammatory. In inflammatory, the morning stiffness usually lasts for more than 1 hour and associated with the fever, fatigue and weight loss and elevated ESRs and CRP. Whereas in case of the non-inflammatory, the stiffness is less than 30 minutes and worse with the use and better with the rest. And markers, there will be a normal inflammatory markers. The chronicity and distribution. If you see the history, duration is less than 6 weeks. Mostly it is an infectious origin like septic arthritis or early viral symptoms. So nowadays you could have encountered most of the viral fever is upcoming. So they presented with the fever and then multiple joint pain. In that case you should know the duration of the pain. The chronicity, if it is more than 6 weeks, think of rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis and psoriatic arthritis. And distribution pattern also, it is monoarticular. One joint involvement is think of any trauma, gout and infection. If it is oligoarthritis, think of spondyloarthropathies, and polyarthritis more than 5 plus joint involvement is the rheumatoid arthritis or SLE. The key physical exam maneuvers. So you need to assess the sinusitis. Whenever the patient complains of a joint swelling, you just palpate it. If it is bony in consistency, you think of osteoarthritis. It is boggy, soft or a stiff pattern, you think of rheumatoid arthritis. And joint stability assessed with the stress testing, and extra-articular clues all you should examine from head to foot examinations. Okay. So next is the diagnostic study based on the Harrison principle. So arthrocentesis, that means the synovial fluid analysis. It is a gold standard for the acute monoarthritis. If it is non-inflammatory, means is less than 2000 WBC, inflammatory is 2000 to 50,000, whereas the septic arthritis more than 50,000. And baseline investigation is like X-ray, ultrasound and MRI to look for the soft tissue inflammation. So management principle, if it is in case of the acute, you should go with the NSAID based on the emergency. And if it is chronic, go for the DMARCs. And for the inflammatory condition, our goal of treatment is to preserve the function and prevention of the joint restriction. So here I am going to briefly list about the common arthritis we are encounter in our clinical practice, like rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing arthritis, gout, reactive psoriatic, and SLE. So in case of the rheumatoid arthritis, so as we all know, most of the time it's women predominantly affected, 30 to 50 years of the age group, symmetric polyarthritis, small joints usually involved, deformity and damage to the joints if not treated. And then extra-articular manifestation, as I already described, is the eye. You look for the scleritis and lung, interstitial lung disease, and non-healing leg ulcers. So extra-articular manifestation like rheumatoid nodules, vasculitis ulcer, scleritis, episcleritis, Felty syndrome. Anyone know about Felty syndrome? Postgraduates?
Neutropenia.
Yeah, very good. Neutropenia, splenomegaly, very good. So a very brilliant crowd, I think. Then the lung involvement like infusion, ILD, and cardiac pericarditis and accelerated atherosclerosis. So here I will give a short scenario. So 25-year-old male with the right knee and left ankle arthritis for 1 month duration. So here the age group is 25 years, only right knee and left ankle arthritis. Is this symmetrical or asymmetrical? This is asymmetrical. Duration is 1 month duration. Is acute or chronic? Chronic? Acute. Okay, so less than 1 month duration with the asymmetrical pattern. The serum ESR, CRP, and then the rheumatoid factor negative. Can this be rheumatoid arthritis? No? The odd points here is the male sex. Always I told female predominantly affected. Duration is less than 6 weeks. Asymmetric arthritis. The rheumatoid factor negative. So here we can go and see the rheumatoid factor. We don't completely rely on it because it's the main culprit in underdiagnosis and as the overdiagnosis of the RA. The sensitivity specificity you need to look for it. Sensitivity is 60% in early RA, 19 established. Specificity is 92%. Now you look back again. Always check the method of the rheumatoid factor assessment. So because the Latkens method is poor sensitivity, nephrometry, turbidometry, ELISA have better sensitivity, and do not order RF in clinically incompatible patients. And negative RF does not mean no rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, don't completely rely on the rheumatoid factor. Then we can go for the anti-CCP antibodies. Here the sensitivity is 67 and specificity is 96%. It's more sensitive than RF in early RA. So anti-CCP positive, 30% of the RF negative patient, you can see the numbers. So in 30% of the RF negative patients, still the possibility of the rheumatoid arthritis. In early RA, both RF and CCP can be done. Remember ESR CRP normal in 1/3 of patients. So you go for the EULAR criteria. So how to confirm the RA then? Classification criteria is not useful for diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. Even though this patient does not fulfill the EULAR criteria, RA cannot be ruled out. How to confirm the diagnosis means you can go for the anti-CCP antibodies, an extremity of the MRI, and also if it is clearly, clinically, all the features favoring for the rheumatoid arthritis. False positive RF, where and all you can encounter. The patient 65-year-old female, the hand joint pain, on examination both DIP and TIP tenderness. How to differentiate OA and from rheumatoid? Joint involvement. In OA, which joint involved? DIP. Okay. So and then RF positive. Here it is diagnosis as OA, DIP and PIP. There is a distal interphalangeal proximal and first metacarpal with the bony enlargement, as I already described. In case of the rheumatoid arthritis, the proximal and the metacarpophalangeal wrist with the soft tissue enlargement. You can remember in old age is the end, okay, distal. So whereas rheumatoid is the almost 30 to 50 years early, so proximal. You can remember whichever is easier. So take home message, the clinical patient pattern of arthritis, you need to look, rheumatoid factor, anti-CCP antibody, extremity in case, go for MRI. The rheumatoid arthritis can be diagnosed even with the ESR, CRP or rheumatoid factor even it is normal. And do not repeat the RF anti-CCP for monitoring the disease activity. So next move on to the ankylosing spondylitis. The patient may complain for the low back pain. If it is untreated, the progressive bending of the spine may occur. So whom to screen for the ankylosing spondylitis? you need to look for the age and gender of the patient and duration of morning stiffness, nocturnal awakening because of the back pain, aggravating relieving factors, and response to steroids and extraarticular manifestation. Here you can see young male with the low back pain, X-ray spine is normal, MRI spine is normal. What do you do next? Young male with all this thing is normal. Will you send him as a mechanical back pain? You will give this any NSAID, you will send it back, or you need to do any other investigations. So can this patient can be sent as having only mechanical back pain, or we will see something? So look for the sacroiliitis, okay, because that is the main thing to diagnose the ankylosing spondylitis. So here the important points for ankylosing spondylitis, always do imaging concentrating the sacroiliac joint. Don't go for only the LS spine. Because X-ray changes may appear after 2 years, the MRI changes it take after 2 weeks. And go for the HLA-B27 because it is positive to 80 to 90% of the patient. And as a first degree relatives of the AS with HLA-B27 positive 10 times, there will be a higher risk. The ESR-CRP normal in 50% of the patients. So far, in case of the rheumatoid arthritis, ESR-CRP normal, but still arthritis RA can be possibility. Again, ankylosing spondylitis, ESR-CRP normal, again possibility is there. So take a message regarding here. When you order for the MRI for back pain, especially in males, always screen for the sacroiliac joint. And HLA-B27 can be negative. Female women can develop the ankylosing spondylitis, osteitis congenita that may cause DD. So next move on to the gout. Here look for the age, gender, monoarthritis, previously discussed, and deforming arthritis and renal calculate. Here you can see the monoarthritis, only single joint is involved. These are all the tophi. So should I always treat joint pain with the high uric acid level? So I am going to give a list of the scenario. If possible, you can answer. 25-year-old female with a symmetric polyarthritis, possibility? Yeah, good. Rheumatoid arthritis. 70-year-old male with the pain in both the knees. Very good. And 32-year male with the psoriasis and joint pain. Excellent. 65-year-old male with the low back pain and the high uric acid level. What? Low back pain. So here is a twist, is the uric acid. You don't fall prey for the uric acid, okay? Because sometimes it may go high or low. 46-year-old female with the widespread muscle pain. What? Dermatomyositis. Okay, it's out of the syllabus. So I'm checking whether you have been able to pick it up. So diagnosis of the gout. Can the serum urate levels can be normal during a gout attack? What to do if the serum urate levels are normal but clinical picture is suggestive of the gout? You can go for this investigation. The take-home message for the gout: do not order serum uric acid unnecessarily. Don't test in women. Suppose if it is monoarthritis, tophi, classical of gout, you can do. Otherwise, no need. Not to test in the presence of the polyarthritis. Not to test in case of the back pain or neck pain, or not to test in case of the muscle pain. Okay, so these are the prerequisites before you are ordering for the uric acid. So next move on to reactive arthritis. The pattern is the asymmetric oligoarthritis. Enthesitis means very good, end off. And then large joint oligoarthritis, the preceding any URI, genitourinary infection, sterile arthritis, it is a variable cause. The part of the axial spondyloarthritis pattern can follow. Psoriatic arthritis, as we already know, is the asymmetric, sometimes symmetric polyarthritis, asymmetric oligoarthritis, and symmetric polyarthritis. DAP, previously where DAP is involved, distal end. Okay, distal is the end. OA, the predominant axial and the arthritis mutilans. We need to look for the other psoriatic features, skin, nail changes. Take a message here, arthritis can present the psoriasis in 1/3 of patient. Search for any hidden site for the psoriasis in his scalp, umbilicus, and then anal cleft and infraaxillary. So from this point, any patient presented with the asymmetric oligoarthritis or symmetric polyarthritis, you look for any extra articular manifestation for RA or the psoriasis. And pattern of arthritis already I described. So viral is chikungunya, the febrile tenosynovitis, a close mimic of the RA. So here, end of my slide is that ASO is the most abused investigation. So don't unnecessarily order it, okay? So it has the post specificity need to repeat and document the raising titer. Don't depend on single value, just look for the raising titers. And moral of ASO testing, don't test ASO for more than 1 week arthritis, more than 50 years of the weight, joint pain or the low back pain. So is the practical tip, the summary is don't order ASO for all joint pain, don't order serum uric acid in females, don't order if it does not match with the gout, and always go for the clinical pattern and don't order ANA unnecessarily and look for the MRI sacroiliac in case of the low back pain. Thank you so much.